All right, welcome back to another movie chest. This is my week's pick. And I went with The Deer Hunter. Written? I believe it's written, but also it's directed by Michael Camino. Am I saying that correctly?
I don't know.
Camino,
Semino.
Camino. Um, he doesn't really have much work out there. He kind of has like three ones that were critically acclaimed, and the rest are just kind of stinkers. So I've seen. But this was his 3 plus hour movie about friendship, Vietnam,
Vietnam, baby.
trauma.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what'd you think? Been wanting to see this for a while. So
Yeah, I mean, this is definitely one. I mean, I have a poster on my wall that's like 100 classic movies, scratch off,
yeah.
and this is on there. I mean, so
You got to scratch it off, huh?
I get to. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I kind of have thoughts about how this is received nowadays. I think at the time, this may have been one of the best. I don't know. This seems a little Oscar baity to me overall, but I think it's still a pretty solid movie. That's kind of my general consensus. What was your kind of takeaway overall?
Kind of a mess. It felt like. I mean, I like that it didn't treat us like children and like tell us when it would do the time jumps and things like that and transition from one place to another.
Yeah.
But it just felt like, I guess, two, if not three separate movies in one. Like the first hour and a half felt like its own thing. And kind of, I mean, I understand it was like establishing these characters so we
Right.
can, like them and understand them. But like the other guys are kind of pointless. I
That's
mean, you're really only there for three people.
that's really what it boils down to. Yeah, the trio, and I was giving it grace too, because I mean, like you said, the first hour of this movie in like modern sensibilities is condensed to like 20 minutes nowadays.
Yeah.
And I was like giving it some grace to be like, wow, all these characters are going to be changed, or we're going to like see their personalities and how it's affected, by the war
Right.
or whatever. Because it's like there's nice filmmaking and good cinematography throughout, and it's like highlighting each of them as if they're like this integral part of the group, or
Right.
whatever. And then it does just like three of them leave, and the rest of them just stay behind, and you see
Yeah.
them later. They're all pretty much unchanged, obviously.
Still drinking Rolling Rock and having a good time.
Yeah, the best. It's one of the best beers. What do you say? It's like, I think that must be a joke, right? I mean,
It's
but
gotta be.
yeah,
But yeah.
yeah. I mean, this movie did a good job of overall. I think it's like one of the better portrayals of like the Vietnam of it all, where you kind of just like have this hometown feel. It's like the Deer Hunter. I think is a smart title because it
Mhm.
really boils down to this man. He was at his prime when he's like hunting a deer. That's where he feels like he's like at his primal, like this is what he's meant to do. He's one shot, like.
Right, right.
And then he's like translating that to like war, which is not the same thing at all,
No.
And like then they realize that later. So it's like a good like arc, it's a good character journey. It's like showing the disillusion of Nam and coming back to what society is, and like whereas like Rambo, great movie, totally action movie. And it's like
Right.
it's still doing justice, but it's like this one just felt like it was trying to be real, a little more. So
It felt like what you said earlier, kind of Oscar baity. I mean, the performances were definitely very good,
yeah,
especially De Niro and Walken.
yeah,
But
yeah.
it's just like, I guess the end also kind of made me scratch my head. It just felt like it took so long to go back and get Nikki back,
Nikki. Yeah.
and
I
like,
had
why'd you wait so long?
yeah.
You knew he was in that area. He knew who he went with, and then he saw the money and he was like, "Oh, well, that's from Nikki. Now I know where he's at."
Hmm.
But you knew, I don't know.
Yeah. He could have like he couldn't get out of the crowd that first night where he saw him.
Yeah.
Like it's a little schlocky there, but yeah. I kind of have issues too with like the first Russian roulette scene where they're snap cut to Vietnam, great cut, where it just
Yeah.
shifts completely, and now they're in this horrible, intense situation. One of the best scenes in the film, obviously.
Yeah.
But that Russian roulette scene is insane, crazy. Like
Yeah.
the dynamics of it all, nuts, great. And then it does Russian roulette like four different times after. So it's like
Yeah.
we've already kind of felt every beat of a Russian roulette beat that we could hit, and
Right.
now you've climaxed with two of your favorite characters Russian rouletting, which is like they got there, but like I felt like some of the like actual war ramifications were lost when the reason why he loses his friend in the end is kind of just like the dumb Russian roulette game that he
Right.
couldn't get over. So like the stakes didn't really climax perfectly to me. They kind of just wanted another tension-filled Russian roulette scene. It's like they really got
Right.
on something with that Russian roulette, you know, like so I don't know. That's kind of my gripes about how it all closed out. I was ready
Yeah.
for Walken to die the whole time because I think
Yeah.
they set that up, and it was sad. It sucked, but could have been a little more impactful.
I think so too. It was hard to connect back with Walken's character just because we were away from him for so long and we were just like moping around
Mm,
with De Niro.
yeah.
And Meryl Streep's character, it just felt like, I don't know. I didn't understand that whole dynamic. I'm not gonna lie. Maybe I missed something
It's like a love
somewhere.
triangle, like them, the two
Yeah,
friends and
so weird,
her. It
man.
is kind of awkward, and I mean, this is like one of her first roles, so it's kind of crazy to
Yeah.
see. This is kind of where I think this was like a zeitgeist film, you know, in like 70, what was it, 78? Like
Yeah, I believe so.
it's like
Yep,
right
78.
after Taxi Driver, and it's like right
Mhm.
before Raging Bull. So this is
Yeah.
like De Niro's like sweet spot here. I think it like solidified like I said, like the zeitgeist of the time. These actors, like their careers were like I think made with this film almost. It seems
Hmm.
like, or their identities were like solidified
Yeah.
based on this movie almost. It's I don't know. It's like there's like a weird history to this movie that I'm not sure is warranted in all of its acclaim or all of the actors that just sprouted from it, you know, because of
Yeah.
this. Don't get me, it's a very good movie. I think it's like pretty successful. I mean, no reason for 3 hours. The
No,
first third,
absolutely not.
like the first 40 minutes are like the wedding, like the dance scene, and it's just a dance sequence. Like
Yeah.
nothing's being added. Nothing's like changed.
Oh,
Like nothing. It's just more character flavor, you know. Like
and it's interesting too because like recently we've watched, Kubrick stuff, which is all, 2 plus, maybe 3 hours.
yeah.
And then Way of Water, we just watched that 3 hours. I just watched Babylon 3 hours, and like out of all of those that in this one included,
Mhm.
this just actually felt like 3 hours.
Definitely. Yeah, the other
Like
ones
I
are
felt the runtime.
yeah. Those ones you listed kind of breezed as much as 3 hours could. This
Yeah,
one I stopped halfway through thinking I was farther because I was like ready
yeah.
for a nap. I thought I
Mhm.
might fall asleep honestly, and then I like realized I wasn't gonna be able to fall asleep, so I was like, I will fucking keep watching. You know, like
I stopped it after the wedding and took a break because I was just like, God damn,
mm,
this is brutal.
yeah,
But I mean, for the time, I'm sure it was just kind of like, I don't know, a guy indulging in what he wanted to make, you know. And I mean, he did his thing. He got what, 5 Oscars for this? I don't know if he did specifically, but I know it won like five. So
right. Like this movie was
it
that
was,
movie that year.
yeah,
Yeah, it's. I don't know. I question if it's super warranted. I don't know. You know.
I agree. I was a little disappointed. I just kind of expected more from it, I guess. I think it has a good setup. I mean, the trauma's portrayed pretty okay, I think. It's more grounded than most,
Yeah.
but it's just certain things about it, like De Niro's character. Some of the decisions he made after the fact were kind of just questionable, I
Hmm.
guess.
I did
But
like his journey, is like his realization after. I mean, he's kind of stoic the whole time, or like the most confident or whatever. But
yeah,
he kind of just like retreats into himself because everyone else doesn't understand. You know, it seems
right.
like. But
Just feel like Nikki would have added more flair to the
if
relationship dynamic if there was more
if he
to it,
was
you know?
back, I think
Right.
like it could have bounced more. Yeah, but
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. You like
But
that De Niro hanging dong scene though? Did not expect that one. That was out of nowhere.
you gotta get big somewhere, man.
That's why that made his career, man. Once he
Yep.
took off those whitey tighties,
Hanging
it
brain.
was game over. Yep. I think also though, that, like the directing was a big highlight for me in this movie overall.
For sure.
One of my favorite scenes slash shots was when they're just like driving down the road and it's like mountain landscapes and they all get out to piss and they
Yeah.
drive off. He drives back like three different times. It's very
Right.
long, but like that's just one long shot and it takes its time, obviously, you know.
Yeah.
So in the times where it's not dragging, those scenes and the compositions are very, very good, I'd say.
For sure. For sure. It was a good different take on Vietnam too. I mean, we weren't like really immersed into like the war thing. It was
Yeah.
more of like the prisoner of war
Mhm.
situation. So that was a different take, I guess, a little bit more refreshing rather than,
It's like jungle
constant.
warfare. Yeah.
Right.
I think also big treat for me was just seeing these performers kind of acting together. Like
For sure.
not going to see any of these guys like bounce around together, I'd say for the most part. But when you go back to these classic films, you kind of get these little nuggets, you know, of history where, you could
Yeah,
see how they were doing or flexing together, at their primes. So that's cool.
definitely. Especially De Niro and Walken, I think, were super,
Yeah,
super
Walken
successful.
was. I mean, he put a lot of weight on his shoulders for this movie too.
Oh
I mean,
yeah,
De Niro for sure. Like he's got the intensity or whatever, but Walken had all the likability, and he's like he. I had a hard time like taking my eye off of him on the screen.
for sure.
So
That's why I wanted more of him, and like the
right.
fact that we just ditch him for an hour or so, it was just kind of like we can't go back to you know
Yeah, he just
wherever
dips
the
out.
town he was
He
in.
does the one
Yeah,
like gunshot dips out, and you're like waiting for the next beat of that, and it just
right.
ends on the next beat. So it's yeah, there's kind of like a little gap there.
Like he visits Stevie. I believe it was Stevie. Stevie is his name, right?
Steven, Steve.
And like I don't know, I feel like that could have been more impactful too. I don't know. I didn't really honestly. I forgot who Stevie was when we switched to the Vietnam thing, and I was just kind of like, who's this guy again?
It
But
was the groom, right? I think.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean
so
his portrayal too. I mean, obviously very sad. It was good acting though overall. I could see why this is like
right.
that 1978 movie. Um, I don't know, just modern sensibilities. I think have washed away a little bit of it. So
Yeah, I mean it was fine. I don't know if enjoyable is the right word I would use for it. I think I'm glad I watched it at least. I mean there was some things, good takeaways I think for it. The directing especially was really good in the acting, so
for sure, definitely.
that was a plus.
Yeah, it's good to
But
get around to this one
got to get these old ones out the way. Although we've hit a really depressing streak lately on these movies.
on the movie
At least it
chest
feels
ones.
like it. Yeah, it feels like it for me.
Yeah,
I don't know.
maybe we'll get a fun one next week.
Yeah.
Stick around, guys. See what the next one is. Hopefully, it's not depressing.
Yeah, we'll see.
All right,
We will see.
stay gold.
This yours?
It's his.
What are your parents' names?
Lou. And my mother's name is Eva.
And what are your parents' dates of birth? We're gonna have to get him out of here.